Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey, hi, Dustin.
Wow, that took a minute. How are y'all?
Good, good. How are you?
Much better now that I get to see you.
Cool, cool. And Dustin, have
Amazing.
you met or talked to Fahim earlier?
I don't think so.
Ah, okay,
Hi.
okay.
Hey, Dustin. Nice to meet you.
Oh my goodness, it's such a pleasure. I'm so excited to be on with you guys.
So
Likewise.
Fahim leads the channel partnerships at Optimism Foundation, and we have been working very closely with him for more than a year now.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
he's our go-to contact for anything related to OP Stack.
Wow, that's
Um,
great.
and
Awesome.
one thing, before I start here, I would definitely like to add that one of the distinct value proposition of OP Stack is their amazing support. I
Ah,
Wow.
think that is unparalleled.
Yeah.
appreciate you,
Yeah.
Ravi. Thank you. Thank you. And Dustin, amazing to have you building on the OP stack as well. I'm pumped for this conversation. It'll be fun.
Thank you so much. Well, it's my honor to be on with you folks today. I have been in this so long and have enjoyed a lot of different projects, done a lot of work and development in some incredible systems and ecosystems. But I fell in love with OP Stack early on with what I was watching you guys do and just the idea of the super chain. And then you bring our friends at Zeeve who are incredible partners. And it just made so much sense to do this work we're doing this way with that kind of support rather than roll it out on our own and have one more piece of a puzzle that we're carrying as we're trying to bring our own dApps to market. So anyway, thank you to both of you for having me on, and thank you for all that you've done for us at R0AR.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, so I think let's get started. Again, so it will be 25 to 30 minutes kind of format. Um, so, um, and I think some of the questions have already been shared, but I'm not typically known for script. So as we move on, we may change, but yeah, something which you're already comfortable with. So, yep, so let me get started. So, hi everyone. Welcome to this special talk show. Today we are talking about reclaiming DeFi, how R0AR, part of FierceTech, Optimism, and Zeeve are working to deliver real self-custody in a modular future. My name is Ravi. I'm the co-founder CEO of Zeeve. And today we have a very exciting panel. We have Dustin Hedrick, who is the CTO of R0AR Blockchain, and we have Fahim, who leads the channel partnerships at Optimism Foundation. And today on the show, we'll explore how modular blockchains, how OP Stack, how smart infra choices are helping reshape the future of DeFi with real self-custody and user ownership at the center. So before we get started, first, I would like to request and welcome Dustin and Fahim. So a bit about yourself and your Web3 journey and how exciting your Web3 journey has been so far. So starting with Dustin, over to you.
Thank you for having me on. We're so excited to be a part of this conversation today. And so, a little bit about ourselves. We've been in the development world and blockchain since the early days of Bitcoin. And so, our team spans around the world. We have different decentralized applications we're building, as well as more solutions in the blockchain space that have yet been discovered. I mean, we're on the front cutting edge with a lot of different ideas from RWA to smart wallets, AI and chain, and so much more. And so, with that said, with our experience, our background, and our team, we just knew that this would be a great moment and a great opportunity to build on an excellent chain. And so I'm going to segue into the next person that's about to be introduced and say that it's an honor to be on with the OP Stack team member and grateful to be here.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you,
Yeah, Fahim.
Dustin. And thanks, Ravi, as well. Hey, everyone. My name's Fahim. I am part of the Optimism team. I've been part of the team for about a year and a half. I specifically look after RAS and kind of infrastructure partnerships. So it's awesome to partner with folks like Zeeve, which we've done for over a year now. And it's amazing to be just on the OP journey to try and build a better internet. And the way we've done that through our journey is, we started with OP mainnet a few years ago in order for us to build a roll up, or at least build the optimistic roll up network. And see that live out through OP mainnet, and that has done, incredibly well. But our vision is much bigger than a single chain. It is about building a chain of chain ecosystems, and the way we're doing that is through the super chain and having this interconnected network of chains that can talk to each other, that share common standards. And even if teams decide not to go down the super chain path, we believe that good, solid software should also be free. And so that's why we built the OP stack, being permissionless, open source, it's MIT licensed, so that incredible teams can build on top of the OP stack and continue to innovate in the way that we and various others have over the past few years. So I'm excited, especially because I have been going down the DeFi rabbit hole for about 12 months. And a lot of my role now is talking to DeFi focused teams. And so I'm excited to be on with Dustin and the R0AR chain team and be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. I think thanks, Dustin, and thanks, Fahim, for joining us. We are super, super excited to have you here. So, Dustin, starting with the R0AR blockchain. So you have described Web3 as a wild west, which is something full of chaos. There have been excellent projects, amazing innovations, but at the same time, a lot of challenges with failed promises, especially when we talk about risk on terms of wallets. So when we talk about DeFi, I think self-custody becomes super, super important. So what motivated you to build R0AR, and how does it restore confidence for users who have faced challenges?
So the first thing I want to say is I never want to speak negatively about another project out there. There's so many great projects in the Web3 space, and I've been involved in so many of them. I love them. We've tested and built and developed using different chains. We forked chains. We developed a lot. So when I speak to this, I speak as someone that's had a lot of experience in a lot of projects, and I will only speak positively to the fact that I've learned so much. And in those experiences, just like so many of us, I have had a lot of successes and even more not successes. So if you've done this for any length of time, if you go back as long as I have, you've probably not just made some income or you've gotten some assets to grow, but you've probably lost a lot too. So on those experiences of losing a lot, we have learned a lot. And if there's a negative thing in your life that happens, I challenge you to turn that negative into a positive by learning from it. And so as long as a failure is educational, it's valuable. And we've had so many failures in this space in a good way. I've lost a lot. I've experienced a lot. I've been a part of rug pulls that I've been rug pulled on. I've been a part of losing funds in projects that have gone live and then the team disappears. And it's not really a rug pull. It's just that it dies out. I've been a part of projects that lost momentum. And so from the investor side, from the developer side. And so now being a leader in a team and a lead developer, what we decided is very early on, we wanted to protect as many people as possible from that wild, wild west experience. And so the first thing is in our minds that makes sense is self-sovereignty. And so when it comes to self-sovereignty, folks have got to be able to keep their keys, their wallet, their chain in their hands. And so when we do that, we really do keep the finance decentralized, which is the hub or core of DeFi, decentralized finance. And we keep the power in the hands of the users. Now, to do that, we have to do a lot of things to create more security and more boundaries. In this space, up until now, it's been very dev heavy. And so it's hard for newbies to get in, new users to experience this and not have loss. And so as we have approached our entire ecosystem, every module, every piece, every part you hear about, we've looked at it from two perspectives. The devs that we want to be involved and we want to give an incredible experience to, or software kits and whatnot that they can build on and solutions that make it easy for them to develop. However, at the same time, we've got these new users over here. And we want to protect them. We want to make sure that they have security, that they have self-sovereignty, that the rails are in place so that even as they get involved, they make less mistakes than we did, and they can build on the lessons we learned that we paid dearly for so that they don't have to pay dearly for it this time. So that methodology is built into everything we do. How do we get the next 1 billion users on chain safely? How do we do it in a way where even governments and governance outside of us want us around and say that we are in an institutional level of DeFi that's trustworthy and that's safe and sovereign? And then how do we keep that self-sovereignty? And how do we do things in such a way where we're attempting to keep the privacy intact of our users, especially for those newbies? And so that's what we're doing. We're approaching that from each perspective on everything we build.
Oh, yeah, I think this is an absolutely amazing vision, because we all know that the user adoption is still very, very minimal in the Web3 space. And as you rightly said, we need to have billion users. And for that purpose, we need to have higher security, more comfort while using decentralized wallets. And at the same time, compliances, if you want to bring in enterprises massively into this ecosystem. And we are seeing in the last 2 years, there has been a massive change. A lot of enterprises are looking at Web3, building in various domains. We have customers across supply chain, banking, telecom. So I think you're absolutely right. Until unless we have the right tool sets, right vision, right execution, achieving a billion user base and a lot of enterprise adoption would be very, very difficult. So as a follow-up, Dustin, any such vision, and I'm assuming that launching a custom chain becomes very, very important, because that way you can control the narrative and you can build pieces, implement pieces which are important to realize this vision. And today there are various ways of launching your custom L2, right? You opted for R0AR chain, you opted modular L2 on OP stack. So what specific challenges or need made this architecture the right choice for you?
Well, we did use a lot of other projects in our early days. We did a lot of self-discovery and development ourselves before we came to Zeeve. Our choice in going with Zeeve, which I'm going to brag on you guys for a minute. I know you're not putting yourself out there yet, but I do want to, because you're incredible. Our choice for working with Zeeve in the first place is because we knew in order to scale at the level we want to bring the user base we want with our data set and our systems and what we have to offer, we needed to do what we're doing with a partner that could scale with us and who could work with us in that process, bring it to market in such a way where we could support the users and not allow things to fail in the process. I mean, if you're doing what we're doing, we've got eyes across an entire board of solutions, and we're bringing things end to end from a wallet to platforms all the way into this chain and more, including heading towards RWA. With that kind of view, you need the right partners to be able to support the infrastructure and the support of that infrastructure. That's you guys. So we figured that piece out as we're doing the process of going through what chain we wanted to use or what we wanted to fork from. And we tried a number of chains and ecosystems. We loved them. There are 3 that really came close to what we wanted. But as far as OP goes, Optimism literally had another piece of the pie that I think is being underrated at the moment. And that is they're building an incredible series of partnerships and networks. So we're talking about a new kind of internet. We're talking about Web3, a new kind of space that has everything from finances to creative. And you're talking about a new kind of relationships. I think everything is being rewritten right now. And the teams that are thinking the most creatively on partnerships and unity are going to get there faster. I heard a founding father say years ago that if we all stand independently, we will surely all hang independently as well. So I got that a little wrong, but pretty much the premise is this: it's in this space in the wild, wild west, in this pioneering era. The more we unify, the better off we're going to be together. So OP has that ingredient, not just the fact they have incredible software, not just the fact they have an answer to something that's been a question in layer 2s, as well as how to work with Ethereum well in this next era. I mean, you can look at different solutions. There's the optimistic rollup or ZK. You can look at different things. but they've got a solution. They've got the super chain, the network of relationships, and they're working on making things such as tokens interchangeable across networks as if it's one chain. So for us, it really dials down to these few things, and I'm going to put a bow on it for you. Number one, the right partner that can support the infrastructure and the user base we're bringing. The right partner that has the right software that can give the opportunity for a chain like ours to do what we're doing all the way to RWA, real world assets on chain inside of tokenization that can be easily adopted across chains with some really incredible partners already on their list that I won't name here. I will leave that for the OP team to leak, but it's already out there. Some big names in the chains are already with the OP team. It just makes sense to be in that world, be a part of that super chain, be a part of that future of internet.
No, I think you have put it very nicely. For any such vision, you do require a solid foundation, which I think OP Stack, with its architecture, with its support system, with its ecosystem, is providing. And then you do require an implementation partner who can take care of the scalable infrastructure. And on top of that, having a very solid layer where you build DeFi applications, onboarding users, making UX UI very, very simple, so that more and more users can come in, and at the same time having necessary security, compliances, etc. I think this is very lovely. So Fahim, I think you have heard Dustin talk about why they chose OP Stack. Now, from a foundations perspective, how does OP Stack empower builders like R0AR to maintain flexibility while at the same time benefiting from the shared infrastructure and security of Ethereum?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. And firstly, just plus 1,000 to everything Dustin said. That was awesome to hear as well, and very humbling to hear about the impact, the wide impact that the OP stack has had, as well as kind of the evaluation across different other stacks as well, which we also love because we need to have multiple different stacks, competitive stacks that also focus on different strategies and areas of focus in order for us to deliver on this internet level vision that we're all trying to achieve within this industry. So I think that's awesome that the OP stack was chosen, but as well as that, there are so many other benefits that we see that other ecosystems are also bringing. I think it's one whereby we have this level of focus around the open sourceness and being able to have and create this kind of user-owned internet. In order to do that, we really believe in decentralization as a pillar, and decentralization is ownership. Now, if we believe that, then there has to be this strong and intense level, like probably like extreme obsession level, Ethereum level of alignment. Now, that's not to say that everything should be tied to Ethereum, but I think there's definitely one whereby that is the foundation and the bedrock which we are building off. The OP stack doesn't really exist. Optimism doesn't exist. R0AR doesn't exist without Ethereum and the progress that Ethereum has made over a number of years. So I think one of the biggest areas when it comes to flexibility is being able to customize on the OP stack. So having essentially a much more modular design. The way we built the OP stack is that it's built on minimal diff, meaning that we just have the shortest number of lines of code in order to launch a chain and be able to run your infrastructure. So by having that really, really strong focus on less code, it means that it's a lot easier, it's a lot less complex. It's not as bloated to run this type of infrastructure in comparison to another. The second part is that it's incredibly modular. If we think about our roadmap over the next 12 to 18 months, we think about, we would love to, I'd love to say that we're going to bring, a multi-proof future. And I'm really gunning for it. I would love for us to have, fault proofs and ZK and various others. It might take a little bit longer across that because there's so many different components and systems that we're trying to make to communicate and work together. But that's really the goal, is that it's so modular that teams can then add different proof systems. They can add different data availability options. They can add, custom gas tokens, whatever it is that teams are looking to do. You still can benefit from the vertical scaling approach, even though with the superchain, our primary focus from day one is this horizontal focus. So we want to build this horizontal network of chains. while ensuring that teams don't have to make any cost or scalability trade-offs. And so that's really the vision that we see coming out through native interop, which is which we're aiming to release later this year. And that will be an exciting milestone as a starting point. And there's a lot more to go from there as well. So to kind of button it up in a bow, and to use Dustin's word there, it's one where we think about the level of customization that you can have on the OP stack. It's the fact that it is incredibly modular. It's also the fact that any team can just build on top of the infrastructure in the way that they want. So it's permissionless in that manner. Teams can play around, they can try different things, they can push the boundaries and challenge the boundaries, which is what we want as an industry, but especially on good hardened software. And it's incredibly battle tested as well. So many teams Dustin had alluded to are using it, whether it be, centralized exchange teams who realize the importance of on-chain competitiveness and on-chain value and are building their own chains, to really, really large teams like Web2 teams like Sony, for example, who have built their own kind of entertainment and IP chain using the OP stack and joining the super chain as well. So we're really building this interconnected network of people and teams who are all trying to realize this vision of building this kind of internet-based or this permissionless-based computer. And we're doing that through the OP stack, which is incredibly exciting.
Absolutely. I think every builder who plans on launching their own chain knows about OP Stack. And I think, Fahim, you have covered some excellent points, especially on the maturity side, which I can say that I think OP Stack is the most mature stack. It has been battle tested and it's very lean stack to implement, very easy to work with. And with an excellent product support team, I think it makes it super, super easy to work with OP Stack. And then super chain vision, I think, is something pretty great, connecting, because we have seen interoperability has been the biggest challenge in last 3-4 years. And the super chain vision, we're connecting all the chains built using OP Stack, I think is very fundamental to the overall network ecosystem effect that we are going to see, or we are already seeing in the Ethereum ecosystem. So Dustin, now a bit talking about the user ownership. So we see that R0AR is a pretty large DeFi ecosystem platform, bringing together trading tools, NFTs, AI, DAO, and all powered by your own L2. So how does this interconnectedness of this stack empower users beyond just transactions or trading?
So for us, it really does empower users. One thing I want to say before I jump in that, I want to say this. I get so excited being on with developers and with folks with the ecosystem. And the thing I love, before I answer that question, is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's always an honoring of all of those that have gone before us in this conversation. And so hearing someone from the OP team give credit back to Ethereum is super important to me. I mean, I love this. And so I want to say that first. And so for us, we launched the R0AR chain, not just wanting a tech stack, we wanted a direction. And so again, I'm not taking away from any other project, but I'll talk about other projects just in our thinking. And so it just helps you frame where we came from. Other people may have a different perspective, and I value other folks' perspective. I am never here to argue what is best. I'm here to outperform what we've done in the past. So I always want the better version of R0AR. That's what I'm after. And so there's things that we thought through when we did this. So Solana is fast. We love Solana. It's fast. I've done some fun stuff over there. That's been incredible. Cosmos is modular, and Arbitrum is very efficient. My goodness. I love how you can get stuff done on Arbitrum. I'm just saying, these are all great ecosystem. But OP Stack gave us something foundational. And so Ethereum alignment has to be at an internet scale as we go forward. There's been a lot of conversation about Ethereum catching up with the times and the speed and, being able to handle transactions faster. When you've got a layer one that's really where everything is being settled, and I'm trying to speak at not just a 30,000 foot dev level, I'm trying to bring this down to the vernacular. But when you've got an organization that really is that settlement layer, and then you want to put a layer 2 on top of it, and you want this to be where the transactions are, you need a partner or a platform that's going to allow you to go at a faster scale, as well as not just be a roll-up framework. It's got to become like a standard for interoperability, which is what we're talking about here. So I love that OP Stack, it sees sovereign chains. And so let me say this again, sovereignty is something I love. OP team is not saying you roll out your chain and all of a sudden we own it through you. You've got these self-sovereign chains, and you hear even on this conversation, you can go whatever direction you need to go, and whether or not you choose to be a part of the super chain, that's up to you as a team member or a leader. I love that mindset. And so you've got this interoperable opportunity, if you want it, with self-sovereign chains that inherit security, liquidity, and even dev tooling from the largest smart contract platform in the world, Ethereum. So my friends, it just made this magic place where it made sense. We chose OP Stack because it gives us Ethereum grade security and compatibility without sacrificing that sovereignty. And that is just, I'm just going to put it at the core. That's why we've got this execution layer, we've got governance, and we've got a roadmap. We know where we're going, and each sovereign chain has the same. Yet we inherit all of that security, all of that years of Ethereum Foundation building inside of being a part of this team and this project. So I could go on. I mean, I could brag on this forever. You can tell I've spent a lot of time in the dev space. I'm a dev, and I've spent time looking through the cracks. I could go into the EIP, 48, 44, and I can go into the next steps, but that's not necessary here. At the end of the day, you're talking about a dev's perspective as a leader or co-founder of an organization saying, this chain made sense for so many reasons, and those are the core ones.
No, absolutely. I think you have made a very excellent point that OP Stack is so open that anyone can use it without any kind of restriction. So I think there's no concept of vendor lock-in. And Optimism has always tried to bring in new exciting innovations to bring in builders within their fold. Like Superchain is an exciting innovation which helps the builders in a way. And I think when you get help, of course, you don't mind sharing help in return, right? So I think you are absolutely right, Dustin. I think this is something massively, and I think the best part about the OP Stack is that Optimism is that they are the front runners. They were the first one to launch this concept of having an open stack that anyone can use to launch their own layer 2 rollups or layer 3 rollups. So yeah, Fahim, for projects like R0AR who are opting to use OP Stack, give us some idea as to the kind of support they can expect from Optimism ecosystem, both technically as well as from a community standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. And just to quickly add onto, and again, plus 1,000, I'm just going to keep saying it, to what Dustin was saying there as we think about the modularity and the open sourceness of the OP stack. I think the biggest thing is that we really want to allow this vision to come to life whereby these futures can coexist. So a future whereby teams with specialized use cases and decide they want to do some form of customizations, it's completely fine, and they maintain their sovereignty. They can maintain the sovereignty across application logic, across the user experience. They can control those outcomes and control the experience for the users, which I think is beautiful. The other thing on top of that is that and Dustin had alluded to this earlier on, is that there is this element of cross-chain interactions through what we call superchain ERC20 tokens, which are essentially interoperable tokens that allow you to benefit from native interop once it's live, so that you can benefit from 1 block latency and transfer a token from R0AR chain to OP mainnet once interop has been enabled on R0AR and OP mainnet instantly, like within 1 block, which I think is really exciting because it kind of means that each chain can act as kind of a website in that they're unique, and they all use the same underlying infrastructure. These websites all use HTTP. And the OP stack is trying to build HTTP for the blockchain ecosystems. And that's the way we foresee and the work that we're doing around that. Now, in order to support chains as they grow and think about ecosystem support, we want to work with chains hand in hand. This is a working partnership and relationship so that we can help chains grow and be strong ecosystem partners. In order to do that, we have a ton of, yes, there's a ton of grant support through the OP Grants Council. There is retro funding. There are campaigns that we ran. We just ran the Super Stacks campaign, which is specifically focused on DeFi incentives and DeFi activity across the super chain. So it encompassed around 5 to 6 different chains, many different protocols, all focused on growing interoperable assets and TVL. So that's great to be able to bring these different networks together in order to contribute towards this super chain vision and growth and progress. So kind of participating in ecosystem campaigns to thinking through marketing, through just being advisors and partners on this mission together and working hand in hand is something that we take really seriously. And then on top of kind of those GTM and the go-to-market style efforts, there is also the ecosystem support that we get from, strong RAS partners like Zeeve, when it comes to dealing with technical support questions that come through, or general kind of issues that may happen as you naturally go through this path of launching a chain, which isn't as easy as launching a website is today, but I believe we will get there for sure. And so there is kind of those additional kind of developer support, technical support questions, whether it be through Discord, through our public GitHub forums and various others, in order to benefit from kind of a good and strong level of support as you build in this ecosystem.
Nope, I think absolutely. I think builders will be very excited to hear, you have placed together all the different points, how the ecosystem support is there for the builders, for the users, especially, somebody who's launching into, let's say, RWA or Deepin. So support from a vertical standpoint or use case standpoint, I think becomes very, very important, especially for new Web3 builders and enterprises who are getting into the Web3 space. So now, since we are coming to the end of our talk show, so as a closing thought, Dustin, what's one big learning from launching your own roller that you would like to share with other founders, who want to start their journey?
So, guys, again, I want to speak to the last thing first. I'm so sorry, but it needs to be said. What Fahim's talking about here is so important for security, because one of the biggest breaches we've seen as developers has been in anything bridged across chains. So when chains are bridging your smart contracts or doing certain things, your token's being held in one, and then it's being changed to another, and it's being put over onto another chain. That's fine and dandy until a bridge is hacked and the underlying tokens are drained, and then all of a sudden you've got double supply of some sort, and then you see these exploits happening. I just want to say, for the newbies out there, the newer folks, or even devs that didn't think about that super chain value, when you're talking about native interoperability, you're removing one of the pieces that is so important to the Wild Wild West. And so I'll segue into what you just asked me, Dr. Ravi, with this. The Wild Wild West. We have learned so much in this process about how it can be done well. So I said at the top of the call that I've had many challenges over the years, ever since I first read the Bitcoin white paper, and I jumped in late 2010 and attempted some things with a wallet with Bitcoin. So I've been here a while. I've been hiding out a while. And then my early days with Ethereum and others, falling in love with smart contracting. Even I did some forking of Litecoin and Doge back in the day. I'm just saying, it was fun stuff. I've tried a lot of things. And as I've fallen into this literal column of the blockchain, and as I've fallen in love with this growing EVM compatible space, Ethereum virtual machine compatible space, I have learned that you want to have the right partners on your team. We have been through exploits, we've been through rug pulls, we've been through loss, we've been through a lot of different things. You want a team that's vetted, So find a partner that's vetted, find a partner that's doing the right things to choose the right team members to support you. Think about infrastructure first. You know, begin this thing, as Stephen Covey always used to say, with your end in mind. So look at what your end game is and then start building backwards in your development process. So we started with a 10-year plan, and now we're finding that in our 10-year plan and our 5-year plan, we're reaching our 2 and 5-year goals very quickly in our first few years because we began with the end in mind and we started getting the right infrastructure and right team members on point. And so having Zeeve as a partner made it where things could come to market quicker and we could trust they would be supported well. In my mind, I want to reduce any of the wild, wild west experience, and I want to build with team members that are going to support my community the best way possible. And so Zeeve is actually finding holes in what we are doing to make sure that the developers have a better experience. And they're saying, hey, have you thought about Hashgraph? Have you thought about this? Have you thought? Some of these things have crossed my mind, others had not. And so we're building best of class because we have a classic, amazing partner in Zeeve. And then you add to that OP Stack, and you hear this humble approach to open sourcing code. Guys, I love that about this space. So many getting us here have allowed us to build on the shoulders of their work. And I believe the Optimism team is doing it in a very unique way, in that not only can you build on their shoulders and they release everything almost in real time to you, but they're in there helping you get there to do it and saying, hey, if you love us and you love our community, we're going to make it where you're safer and better in a super chain. So there's this interoperability, and we're going to take part in your success. So my friends, if you think through your entire process at a 10-year plan, and then you build backwards and then you start filling those blanks, make sure you add to it a good partner that can support your growth and a good partner that's going to make sure that you have a long run for whatever you're building on that chain. Make sure that chain team has a long-term plan and it benefits you with support all the way there. And that's what Zeeve and Optimism have done for us.
I think Dustin, it was very, very insightful, and thanks for outlining, what your key takeaways has been, or your journey has been while launching your own custom chain. I'm sure quite a few new builders who are still going to see a lot of challenges down the path, they will be benefited by some of these insights. So Fahim, your closing thought on what do you want to say to next generation of roller builders?
Yeah, for sure. Echo a lot of what Dustin has also said around, I think we don't need to make the same mistakes. Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, and we don't need to rebuild everything from scratch every single time. Like, I also really appreciate when teams decide to take a really first principles thought because they're solving specific problems. And so there are certain things and justifications as to why they need to do that, but not everyone needs to do that. And nor is it needed in order to keep it in this kind of monolithic, centralized code base where you control everything. You don't modular, or like you don't focus on taking modular components and adding it into the work you're doing because of a specific reason, or you're trying to build a really novel solution. And I think there is merit for that, but the majority of teams don't reinvent the wheel. You don't need to. And it's one where like you can leverage existing innovations in order to run faster. You can run faster if you're building on top of solid infra and you're working with really strong infra partners as well. And so that allows you to get to market faster, allows you to get customers faster. It allows you to build valuable solutions and test them in market and test specific hypotheses. Whereas if you're just building everything from scratch, you could just be in a little basement and a little tunnel and build for 2 years and then realize that actually that's not what the market wants. So I think being able to have tighter feedback loops and really releasing things to customers, validating things, being honest to say whether what you're building is actually unique and valuable and something that the ecosystem wants. And there is a lot of low-hanging fruit. I mean, the UX needs to come a long way in order for us to attract the next billion users. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit. But if what you're building isn't resonating with users, then you need to have an honest conversation as to whether what you're building is really incredibly unique, or whether you need to go in a different direction and figure out what it is that your users really care about and really want as we think about reducing liquidity fragmentation, improving security, improving UX, and just building much more novel and better solutions through crypto and through Web3. So I really focus on being able to differentiate your offering and have a differentiated UX and a simple, clean UX. And those things sound obvious, but they are very underrated in this industry. And so there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to go after. And working with great infra partners as well, and having a bigger purpose and mission as to what you're trying to do. I think that's what drives us and me at OP, is we're building a big vision. We're building towards this big purpose alongside other people, alongside R0AR Chain and alongside Zeeve and alongside other RAS partners and other teams as a whole, as we think about chains and infra partners and various others, is there is a really big vision behind this and a really big level of purpose. And so I think that's what drives motivation and the work that we're doing in order to be intentional about building much better solutions for this industry. So in summary, I'd say build better and differentiated user experiences. It goes a long way, and we have a long way to go in this industry, but excited to continue to attract great builders. And this space definitely needs more and more great builders.
No, absolutely. I think that's an amazing way to put it, Fahim. We do need good builders. We could need solid user experiences as we see more and more apps. And I think we are there, and now we see a lot of Web3 apps, which are very similar to Web2. Now we have, social logins, we have keyless architecture, gasless transactions, So a lot of innovations have happened over the last few years, and now we are seeing that in action. Things are becoming, I know of quite a few blockchain applications in the enterprise space, in the government space, that are being used by millions of users, but even users don't even know that blockchain is powering the backend of that application. So I think smartly designing a sound architecture, solid user experiences will make a hell lot of difference. And I think we are getting there. So thanks, Dustin. Thanks, Fahim, for joining me on this talk show. It has been an incredible journey throughout this show. A lot of beautiful insights, and I'm sure everyone who would be listening to this talk show would be greatly benefited by these insights. So thanks once again for joining us.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you. You guys are great.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and keep building, keep smiling.